No one was ready for what Charlie Kirk's family finally revealed. And what they said about his final 24 hours changed everything. When Charlie Kirk's family did finally come clean, no one saw it coming. People in general, those who oppose him, people who thought they knew him best, were also wrong. Something very unsettling became apparent to the world when his parents spoke out about his dying day. Nobody had anticipated how Charlie Kirk would spend his final 24 hours. Their story was far from tranquil. It was unexpected. That version that was going around online was not clean. It was deeply disturbing, emotionally charged, and untamed. His loved ones said there were several red flags on his last day. Symptoms that he attempted to hide. Indications that he disregarded. Symptoms that now appeared to be frantic warnings that a more sinister plot was developing in the background. He was constantly looking out the window, according to his mom. "They are watching, and they are closer than you think," his sister said, as he paced the room. Concerning the identity of the person with whom Charlie declined to speak, his father said that his son had made 3 different phone calls. Whispered in a panic, each call was short. Supposedly, after their final conversation, Charlie warned him not to believe anybody if something bad were to happen to him. The silence was broken by their words. Paranoia did not grip Charlie. Afraid was he. Afraid to death. He seemed to know it may be their last embrace, according to his sister, who said he held her more tightly than normal. He entrusted her with a flash drive and instructed her to safeguard it. Claiming to have never opened it, she claims. The tone of the narrative then goes from touching to unbelievable. Charlie had a meeting with someone in the hours leading up to his death. They won't even tell him who it is. They claim the encounter was the turning point. Everything from his demeanor to his energy level to the last words he spoke to his mother as he departed the house convey his dread. They have no intention of allowing the truth to be revealed, and then for 3 hours, he vanished. His sister finally revealed the flash drive he gave her, but there was a long and winding road leading up to that moment. Who did he meet? What truth was he referring to? And why is everyone so scared to talk about it now? The world had already heard the terrifying details of Charlie Kirk's last day. His mother had quavered as she repeated his last words, and his father had cracked as he described the moment they realized something was seriously wrong. An obscure past that has just recently been elucidated. Charlie had a lot on his shoulders, had adversaries, had secrets, had family tensions that had been building up for a long time before his death, all of which contributed to the mayhem that he experienced in his last 24 hours. There was more to Charlie Kirk than just his political career. No less than an analyst. Above and beyond becoming a symbol of a movement, the people never witnessed the weight that he bore. Those months of stress, according to his loved ones, were the last straw. Charlie gave off an air of self-assuredness and bravery from the outside. He gave public speeches. Without hesitating, he debated. His travels were non-stop. His encounters with powerful individuals were memorable. Unlike the average American, he was able to move in circles. He appeared untouchable to the general population. When nobody was around, the truth was drastically different at home. He slept very little, according to his mom. He looked at his phone as if it were going to explode, and he was sweating profusely and trembling. "I should have never consented to that meeting," he said one morning as she entered the kitchen, his head buried in his hands. "What meeting?" she inquired. His silence was deafening. It was much earlier, according to his father, that the terror began. Unusual demands started coming from Charlie. Monthly, he would swap out the Wi-Fi router in his house. He changed the locks on all the doors. Instead of installing them outside, he put them inside the house. It was for security, Charlie maintained. But according to his dad, something more profound was shown by the expression in his eyes. Fear, great dread. It was news that the family preferred not to believe. Blamed for the tiredness was stress and workload. Under continual pressure from both supporters and detractors, Charlie continued to travel and talk nonstop. Overwhelm is a common emotion. However, his sister had a far darker feeling. She claims Charlie told her a terrifying amount of personal information, albeit not entirely. People aren't who they claim to be, he informed her. Someone in a position of power is associating with the wrong crowd. Someone completely misguided. He should call the police, she said. He denied being able to. First, he assured me they would reach me. Until the flash drive, she failed to understand the gravity of the situation. It was no accident that he gave her that gadget on his last day. Nobody felt any emotion, a backup plan, a backup strategy. If something were to happen, Charlie hoped his sister would be the one to keep the one item that may save their family. But she still won't open it no matter what was on it. What she might find out terrifies her, she claims. That dread did not materialize out of thin air. In the months preceding his last day on the job, Charlie encountered an increasingly murky, complex, and unfriendly work environment. Several unsettling incidents, according to those in the know, only served to heighten his skepticism. Someone discreetly handed him a note at a donor meeting, a well-known coworker abruptly withdrawing his support, a clandestine meeting where he overheard what sounded like an illegal talk. Someone who had confidential, potentially damaging information about a certain company contacted him as a whistleblower. His inquiry was abruptly halted after receiving a call from an unknown number. Charlie persisted, and he dug some more. At that point, events started to take a dark turn. "I am in over my head right now," he informed his dad. He warned his mom not to answer the phone if they call. "Tell your sister to study the file in case anything occurs," he warned her. A more unsettling atmosphere develops in the backdrop. A journal had been kept by Charlie. It was later found by his relatives. Inside, he detailed his disillusionment with once trusted individuals, shady business dealings, frustrating meetings, and a single repeated sentence. "As far as they are aware, I am as well." Who exactly were they? The journal keeps mum on the subject. Someone handed him paperwork during a meeting in Washington, D.C., which he recounts. "Do not repeat this," the guy muttered in a late-night call. "A money trail that ends in something repulsive. A lady he thought was recruiting, he thought. A public official who gives the impression of being clean but is actually dirty. Just stop digging," it said. Those words were highlighted twice by Charlie. His loved ones pleaded with him to put the inquiry on hold while he took a vacation. His refusal was clear. His dad had made it clear that he wanted to spill the beans. He thought it was brave. I think he forgot how dangerous that was. His conduct shifted drastically thereafter. Some events he no longer attended. Even his longtime coworkers lost his trust. Every night, he slept for little more than 2 hours. As he talked, he started whispering. Constantly, he examined the windows. As though anticipating something, he paced the house. He would look over his shoulder as if someone were there in the room with us, his mother claimed, and then halt in the middle of a statement as if he were hearing something. The rapid escalation of events caught them off guard. The following day was the most crucial. A communication was received by Charlie the night prior. His folks think that set off the chain reaction. His face became pale as he read it in silence, then promptly erased it. His sister wanted to know who sent it. "I am unable to say," Charlie responded. "All eyes are on them." His mother said he left the house with a face that combined fear and resolve, and he carried only the necessities in a little bag. No one, not even Charlie's loved ones, could have been more terrified of the reality that Charlie had found, or at least of what he meant to reveal. After a few hours of pacing and grumbling to himself, he finally made it home, visibly frightened. He clenched his phone tightly as if it were about to explode, according to his father. The statement that continues to haunt them was then spoken by him. "Never trust a tale they tell about what happened to me." Here the story takes a gloomy turn, leaving behind its emotional tone. It became glaringly obvious that nothing about his last day was ordinary the second his family completed recounting his last morning. As soon as Charlie left that house for good, things started to fall apart. Just going outdoors wasn't going to cut it. Even though he could feel the trap approaching, he was helpless to stop himself. Looking out the window, his dad recalled. Almost as if waiting for orders, Charlie remained for what seemed like an eternity by his car, looking at his phone. His grip was unsteady, he had irregular respiration. Subsequently, he hurled the phone into the vehicle as if he found it repulsive. At that instant, the tide turned. It took Charlie a little while to get into the car. Encircling it, he strode. He knelt down and peered beneath it, indeed, underneath it, seemingly scanning the area for any potential threats. According to his dad, he'd never seen his son act that way before. Stress was not there. There was no paranoia in that. Someone who was aware of his own vulnerability was that person. Charlie did not duck or dodge it. Rather, he strode directly at it. Charlie, according to a neighbor who saw him afterwards, ran as fast as he could have if he had thought someone was after him. Although his family wouldn't find out what a surveillance camera down the street saw until days later, that gut feeling could have been right. Just as Charlie was about to pass, a black SUV appeared around the bend. Without showing any license plates, it continued in the same way. This car didn't belong to anyone in the area, and its arrival was anything but coincidental. Charlie seemed to detect something, but he had no idea the SUV was following him. His sister claimed he had a reputation for always going with his gut, but that gut had been screaming for attention in the past several weeks. According to what he told her, it's as if someone is copying his every motion. In her opinion, he was being dramatic. She now regrets not listening. After that, the timeline becomes further obscured. After Charlie left the house, his phone records reveal that he made a single call. Just 2 minutes passed throughout the discussion. Only the number and no name of the mystery caller were recorded in the log. His voice was so unfamiliar to those who knew him that they couldn't identify the subsequent message he left. As if someone were listening, his speech came out hurried and constrained, even coded. "Do not stall. They know I am coming," he warned. The research revolved around those remarks. "As far as they are aware, I am as well." He had no idea who they were or what they were up to. This is when the first big bend happens. Charlie was not spotted driving to his usual location, such as his office or a speaking engagement, according to the records. He opted instead to go to a secluded area, a place he had never been by himself before. On the outskirts of town is an abandoned business facility. He kept his connection to that place a secret from those closest to him. It was completely unknown to his family. It had never been brought up by his colleagues. His companions were unaware of its existence. Someone else did it, though, since 11 minutes after that, the black SUV pulled up to the same building. The footage makes me feel uneasy. Initially, Charlie draws in. As if he were in a rush, he parks in an uneven fashion. He then comes inside after taking a quick glance around. Just 3 minutes after that, the SUV pulls up, no one leaves, lights off, engine going, it just sits there and watches. No video was recorded within for the subsequent half an hour. There was no working security system, power, or illumination in the facility. Years have passed since it had been closed. However, Charlie went there on purpose, anticipating and dreading meeting that person. After the fact, bystanders claimed to have heard yelling. One of them seemed to be Charlie. Deeper, older, and more authoritative was the other. Someone contemplated contacting the authorities as the argument escalated, but then the sounds abruptly subsided. The subsequent quiet did not evoke a sense of comfort. A warning, if you will. The SUV proceeded to signal with 2 flashes of its headlights 15 minutes later. After a brief opening and closing, the back passenger door was locked. Someone sat inside to watch the meeting and make sure he didn't say or hear anything inappropriate. They weren't there to assist or stop him. Exactly what was going on within the deserted structure. It appeared like Charlie had discovered a secret, according to his journal. It had to do with those he had faith in for his work. Something intertwined with money, clandestine coalitions, and a web of influencers and charities. Grooming language and concerted effort, shadow donors were some of the terms he put down on paper. Nobody grasped his message back then. At last, it seemed like an image was taking shape. Someone was hell-bent on stopping the dissemination of the profoundly distressing secret that Charlie had unearthed. After then, the plot twists once more. This was no ordinary gathering. Charlie had other plans. He was involved in a transfer of power. He was anticipating the actual delivery of an envelope, according to his sister. Proper documentation that would establish all claims. Those papers may reveal the identity of the persons he thought were behind the scenes managing big organizations. This clarifies why he did not have a laptop, a suitcase, or other recording equipment with him. Aside from his keys, wallet, and 1 USB drive, he had nothing else with him when he arrived. Later on, he imparted the same motivation to his sister. However, an error occurred. An envelope was not sent to Charlie. Documents were not left behind by him. Along with something considerably worse, he departed. Fear. His dread was so great that he bolted out of the building in a panic, according to eyewitnesses. As he struggled to find the right key, his hands quivered. He sprang into the vehicle and coasted so close to the curb that he almost collided with it. Without missing a beat, the SUV sped up behind him. Passive monitoring had become like this. We were pursuing this. It was Charlie's intention to unsettle whomever was following him as he drove back toward his house, making sudden turns and doubling back. Pieces of his terrified, shallow breathing and mutterings about how this was not meant to happen, that she was not supposed to be there, were recorded by his dash camera later on. Everything shifted after that statement. Her presence was uncalled for. Tell me who she was. According to his relatives, Charlie was taken aback when a female informant showed up instead of a male one, someone who was involved with the network he was attempting to dismantle, a lady who snuck into the gathering. What he wrote in his journal corresponds to this. Even if she poses a threat, the lady safeguarding everyone is also the key. No indications of forced entry, a struggle, or any other clear clues were uncovered when detectives later inspected the building. Nonetheless, they uncovered a single artifact. a piece of ripped paper bearing the words "Stop digging" written on it. Charlie has been tormented by the same sentence for weeks. However, upon his return home, the most disturbing development occurred. His loved ones had no idea what he was dealing with. Thick, perspiration-soaked shirt, pale, quivering eyes. His mother had the impression that he had witnessed something he would never be able to forget. He embraced his dad tightly. Elsa embraced him tightly. Suddenly, he murmured, "They know I tried to expose them because she was there and heard everything." He then triple-checked the windows. She pleaded with him to contact the authorities. His refusal was clear. "You seem to be confused." He said she had complete authority over them and that they will bury me if I tell anybody. He seemed to be waiting for his phone to ring as he traversed the house, checking each door. Subsequently, he approached his sister privately and informed her that they are now keeping tabs on all of us, not just me. At that same second, she knew something was seriously wrong. Eventually, Charlie ceased bringing up the enigmatic man. He ceased mentioning the benefactor. His mention of the whistleblower came to a halt. Only one individual was mentioned by him. That one, the unexpected woman he encountered. This is the lady that snuck into the meeting. The lady, he thought, had absolute control in his mind. It was not a case of paranoia. Misunderstanding occurred. Without a doubt, it was true. It was terror stemming from an identifiable object he had beheld. There was something that made him think he would not make it through the next 24 hours alive. His relatives used to think that the dread he expressed in his notebook that night was the source of the terror in his voice. It became evident that he was not frightened of a group when he returned from that abandoned building, trembling, sweating, and looking over his shoulder every few seconds. A lady frightened him, one particular lady. Unexpectedly, he crossed paths with someone that day. He thought there was someone who could forever quiet him. According to his sister, he couldn't help but silently repeat a single phrase. Her presence was uncalled for. Her presence was uncalled for. Charlie seemed to freeze up in response to her question about his intended. It was almost as if he was physically unable to respond, rather than refusing. He seemed to be afraid that uttering her name may set off an uncontrollable reaction. Something had changed, his father realized at that moment. Anxiety had departed. No, this has nothing to do with politics. No, that was not wariness. It was not a case of paranoia. After seeing something he was never supposed to see, Charlie had violated a boundary. Whoever it was he encountered in that building had altered his destiny. He reportedly didn't eat much of his meal that night, according to his mom. Though he sat at the table, he never even looked at the food. Without pausing, his foot continued tapping. He repeatedly rubbed his hands together. As if someone were about to stroll in at any second, he maintained a fixed gaze on the corridor that led to the front entrance. Suddenly, he sprang to his feet. Clutching the curtain aside, he hushed a mumble that they had located the home and made his way to the window. Outside, nobody noticed anything. Vehicles not allowed. A lack of statistics. There is no change. On the other hand, Charlie wasn't looking for strangers. Looking for indications was his goal. Charlie thought the woman he met didn't require a complete squad to find him, according to his sister. She was a strategist, in his opinion. A manipulator who got what she desired by sidestepping checks and utilizing the avarice of others. Someone who, due to a lack of necessity, never once got her hands filthy. Something Charlie said still gives his mum the willies. There is no end to her connections. Everyone pays attention to her. After his father pressed him for an explanation. Charlie gave it a go. He explained that for a long time she had been working behind the scenes. She was the architect of something far deeper, yet she posed as a helper, mentor, and fixer. The ability to blend in with one's political, religious, and charitable networks undetected. Then Charlie corrected her, saying that she is not in charge. She has complete command over the top brass. It took his loved ones a long time to understand the gravity of that statement. They thought he could be making things up when he said it. Yes, he was. Attempts to uncover a network that preyed on vulnerable individuals had been Charlie's main focus for months. Plus, this woman was more than just a bystander, in his opinion. It was her who kept it going. Everything changed when the detail arrived. This was the revelation that changed everything. Because he had never informed anyone or written about it in his notebook, Charlie finally broke down and spilt the beans. "She knew who I was," he muttered. She stood still. "I knew you from somewhere." "I met her years ago," Charlie murmured, his eyes filled with fear. "At the time, I had no idea who she truly was. At that point, his loved ones understood the threat had been building for some time. It started when Charlie encountered her, even before he grasped the gravity of her situation. What did the woman say to him at the building? His mother wanted to know. Refusing to repeat it, Charlie shook his head. Father put pressure on him. Chuck finally murmured. "You are too noisy," she replied. "Remaining useful would have been the right choice for you." Mommy let out a gasp. It was then that his sister started weeping. His dad wanted to know everything. "She was never meant to be there," Charlie repeated, saying while shaking his head. When that fear intensified, it became horror. An unidentified notice buzzed his sister's phone at about 8:40 p.m. The call was not made. Not a book, some kind of record, an incognito airdrop effort with a single picture. The picture was captured moments ago from outside their house and showed the front. In a hushed tone, Charlie murmured, "They are telling me she knows my address." He then seized the phone, gazed at the photo, and continued reading. Without delay, his father bolted outdoors. No one was out on the street, just a few cars drifting off. Nobody is strolling. There is no discernible evidence. Nevertheless, there was an unsettling air of absolute quiet. Far too silent, excessively hefty. "No one should be near the windows," Charlie said. He gathered the family into the living area, dimmed the lights, and disconnected all electronics. His mom wanted to know why. "She works via statistics," Charlie muttered. "Devices allow her to listen. She goes blind if they aren't energized." His dad wanted to know how he was so sure. In the same manner that he learned everything else, Charlie claimed he learned it by reading, investigating, listening to whistleblowers, and connecting links that other people disregarded. Afterwards, still another insight emerged. This woman was not acting alone, according to Charlie. According to him, she brought someone with her. Not in the physical sense, but through her words. According to him, someone else was behind the scenes, directing her every move. Someone whose presence he recognized immediately, even if he had never seen their face. Charlie told his father that there is a guy above her when his dad wanted to know what it meant. To him, she responds, all of them report to him. The individual he wrote about in his journal was this very same one. He was under the impression that the same man had funded many ventures. The same individual whose connections spanned businesses and government agencies across the country. She keeps his secrets safe, according to Charlie. His presence ensures her survival. The research centered on that line in the end. His sister let out a scream when the next moment arrived. Yet another beep from Charlie's phone. The man stood still. Everyone went quiet. He had an encrypted messaging app installed on his phone, and the screen showed a notice from it. An app that his family was completely unaware even existed. One statement was all that was included in the communication. Cut ties with your loved ones. Unidentified individual. Absolutely not. No fixed place. Just the order. His sister peeked over Charlie's shoulder and noticed that he hadn't read it out loud. According to her, he had a complete chill. She knows I am home, he muttered. She is aware that I am speaking. She advised me not to do it. While reaching for the phone, his dad apparently lost his grip. Charlie withdrew it. Additionally, you will be targeted if you read this. That declaration validated their gravest concern. In Charlie's mind, the threat did not stop with him. Whoever he confided in also felt it. His mom wanted to know why he didn't report it. I have people everywhere, Charlie added. A few of them are. Higher than you may expect. No one was named by him. How was that done? He was vague. He was vague about the location. His next remark was far worse. It will not be a random occurrence if I vanish tonight. He was pleaded with by his sister to stay. Charlie insisted he'd have to. I need to buy time, he said. What did that imply? His father wanted to know. I need people to follow me, not you, Charlie murmured as she glanced at him. At that point, Charlie's loved ones understood he had no intention of staying put. He was about to make his ultimate sacrifice. Running out the door, Charlie snatched his keys, the same ones he had gripped earlier before anybody could stop him. Accompanying him, his mother let forth a piercing scream. He was called out by his father. Before he could reach the driveway, his sister had after him. There was no spin of the wheel for Charlie. With trembling hands, he climbed into his roaring automobile, the headlights piercing the night. Do not open the flash drive till I do not return. That was his final yell before he ran away. He continued driving far into the night. His life remained a mystery to them. A nation was stunned when word got out about Charlie's last day. His abduction, the enigmatic encounter, the black SUV, the cryptic communications, and the last words he left behind. However, the response went beyond just sadness. Confusion reigned. Suspicion was there. I was terrified. The official account of what happened was almost immediately discredited. There was an unexpected fixation on Charlie's last hours, and the internet went into a frenzy of ideas, timelines, video analysis, leaked audio, eyewitness assertions, and more. In the beginning, it was his most loyal followers who spoke up. Those who watched every single debate and speech online, something stood out to them right away. Charlie had dropped hints for weeks that he was looking into a delicate matter. Video excerpts from previous interviews started making the rounds again. In these scenes, Charlie pauses mid-sentence and, as if someone were standing just beyond the camera's view, looks away. After users of TikTok pieced together many of these clips, the comment sections became vicious. A strange feeling washed over him. Our omission of this is perplexing. Nobody paid attention when he tried to warn us. Anger and sadness entangled among the fans as they grieved. Irritation about the prospect of being observed, silenced, hunted, and possibly even watched Charlie. His former stress dismissers now felt guilty. His detractors started to see his statements as cautions rather than exaggerations. When influencers saw it, they reacted even more strongly. Some published tearful films with red eyes in which they expressed their disbelief that the public was being shown the whole truth. Some have said that Charlie hinted to being observed in private discussions. Because he did not feel comfortable traveling alone, Charlie canceled a meeting 2 weeks prior, according to one famous pundit. They went off the rails. He expressed his fear of being unsafe to you. He seemed to be engrossed in something. This demands immediate investigation. Then something changed in the air. He started to subtly lose the support of influential people. The YouTube channel no longer contains any older collaborations. Episodes of the podcast that included him were taken down for evaluation. Complete records vanished, including footage in which Charlie made vehement statements against exploitation or corruption. At that moment, the general population became aware of something disturbing. Not everyone was in grief. They were sanitizing. The political sphere responded thereafter, and the atmosphere became fraught with anxiety. Despite their prompt delivery, official pronouncements had an air of chilly sterility, sad death, disturbing information. The family is in our prayers and thoughts, carefully crafted words that revealed nothing. Behind such claims, employees were in a state of terror. Rumor has it that many departments told their personnel to wipe Charlie-related projects from their inboxes, remove connections to shared folders, and clean correspondence. An unnamed employee did acknowledge that several people were curious as to whether Charlie had left any paperwork behind. Legal records. Not recollections, no claims, legal records. It was that one thing that set off a chain reaction. Which papers? Why were politicians worried about paperwork? The death of a pundit has to have a special reason to cause this thorough internal investigation. Whispers quickly circulated that Charlie was about to unleash something monumental. There is something connected to financial networks, nonprofit organizations, and private donations. His knowledge went much beyond mere remark, according to many unidentified sources. A new level of public outcry emerged, outrage. He was understood to be in imminent danger. Because nobody came to his rescue. The truth is what? They're trying to conceal. Shortly after posting, memorial forums began to take on a conspiratorial tone. However, the most outspoken responses were from an unexpected quarter. People who had worked together in the past but eventually drifted apart, ideologically started making mysterious comments online. He approached too closely. He was cautioned by others. Who was he dealing with? He had no idea. An internet-shaking phrase was posted by one of them. Paranoia did not grip Charlie. He had a point. Over the course of 2 days, that cue became a national trend. Disagreement arose among church authorities. His detractors staged vigils, claiming he was a martyr for justice. Subtly, others had him removed from event banners and promotional posts erased. While broadcasting live, one minister accidentally claimed that circumstances outside Charlie's control dictated his last days. He stopped the webcast abruptly in response to viewer pressure. Minutes after its release, the video went viral. News outlets, meanwhile, were in a state of panic. The major media promoted a more moderate storyline, feeling overwhelmed, burnout, the weariness. The problem was that the assertions made to minimize the events were always disproven by leaked film and witness reports. Instantly, online viewers saw discrepancies. His statement that "they know I know" causes no tension. The fact that a black SUV trailed behind him makes it hard to call it breakdown. Imagine if he had forewarned his loved ones not to trust the government's version of events. There were reports of journalists receiving texts telling them to abandon the topic for the time being after they attempted to probe deeper. Even before they went popular, some posts disappeared. Take it for what it's worth. One reporter tweeted that editors had removed my Charlie piece. Before vanishing, the tweet had over 1 million views. Next, a wave that nobody saw coming. Whistleblowers and survivors from separate groups started coming forward. Inquiries regarding patterns, nomenclature, documentation, and names were allegedly made by Charlie months earlier when he approached them. Why, they wondered. They were in the dark about his construction. He had been putting together a huge puzzle, they now thought. The last item was his last meeting. It all started with people making connections where none existed before. It was not just corruption that Charlie was looking into. Exposing hypocrisy was not all he was doing. A network was being revealed to him. That epiphany set off the last wave of response: rage, loss, fear, and not taking the government at its word. After his last meeting, throngs of people gathered outside the facility. On display were placards reading, "Just tell us the truth." Charlie was not a scapegoat. Tell me about the lady he was afraid of. Turn over the tape. Hashtags on social media pushed for more openness, investigation, and answers. People analyzed each frame of the maps and timelines by posting screenshots. People were starting to tune out. They had begun to organize. Subsequently, Charlie's sister emerged from her residence and informed us that he had left something behind that we had not yet opened. All sounds disappeared. Without a doubt, she was referring to the flash drive, plus everyone was aware that its contents may alter the course of history. With no official responses and increasing public pressure and demands, the public began to conduct its own inquiry. They never asked for the storm that Charlie's family ended up in the middle of. Upon their arrival, reporters pounced. Outside the home, strangers began to light candles. Advocates called for fairness. Theories were muttered by critics. No matter what happened, one question rang out more than the others: the contents of the flash disk that Charlie abandoned. For days, his sister stayed away from the topic. She stashed it away in a drawer, out of sight of prying eyes. Resolving to only open it when absolutely required, she gave herself the ultimatum. Outside, though, everything were falling apart. Individuals started vanishing from Charlie's sphere of influence. He had recently met a number of people who suddenly stopped replying altogether. The social media accounts of one whistleblower were deleted in the course of a single night. Then an even more unsettling event took place. There was an attempt on the Kirk family home's life, not looking out the window, not by using the rear door. Somebody attempted to use a wireless gadget to bypass the digital lock. However, it was unsuccessful. That happened, and the family said anything. The cops never showed up. Absence of any kind of follow-up contact, no police vehicle, not a single thing. The warning seemed to have vanished into thin air. At that moment, Charlie's sister realized the threat was real. They were still being watched by someone. What Charlie left behind was still sought after by someone. Someone was really worried that someone may access the vacant upsets of Losh. Gathered in the living room, the family members agreed they needed to know the truth, despite being fatigued, upset, and afraid. Reports alone, not assumptions, speak clearly the reality. The flash drive was taken from Charlie's sister's room. As if it were 100 pounds, she clutched it firmly. When her father insisted on using an ancient laptop without a Wi-Fi connection, he unplugged all of the electronics and cleared the table. Digital monitoring was something Charlie had forewarned them about. They finally grasped the reason. The laptop screen went blank for 3 seconds as soon as the flash drive was inserted. 3 extended seconds of complete quiet. Afterwards, one folder with a capital title showed up. "It is already past the deadline if you are seeing this." "Inconsolable," his mother sobbed. Father asked son, "What are you getting yourself into?" in a low voice. His younger sister retrieved the packet. The contents included papers, as many as a dozen, identifies and extracts, audio files, handwritten notes, and time-stamped email screenshots. A portion of Charlie's journal had been copied. All of the files arrived at the same verdict: a system that functions behind the scenes of international conferences, donor circles, and organizations, churches, and other religious organizations. Charlie suspected a network that was involved in the laundering of influence, which involved manipulating messages and utilizing certain persons as middlemen for unknown reasons. The network, nevertheless, was not the source of the family's astonishment. Indeed, it was the names. Charlie had marked a few names in red. These were all people the family knew. Individuals with whom they had dined. Individuals that openly lauded Charlie. Those who seemed concerned about his well-being. The folder, however, was unfinished. A separate password-protected file was also included. His sibling was hesitant. "Try something he would use," his dad urged. She entered Charlie's birth date by hand. Oh well, She entered the name of the family dog. Oh well. Their childhood street was penned by her. No access granted. Next, she entered the single sentence that Charlie had used throughout the week. They know, I know. I opened the screen with a click. The file included a video. This timestamp was recorded less than 48 hours before to Charlie's last day. The place was completely silent as soon as they hit play. Charlie looked pale, exhausted, nervous, and resolute as he came on TV. His mother's hair stood on end as he stared squarely into the camera and said a word that sent chills down her spine. So long as you're tuning in, she was correct. They would not budge from their demands that I stay. She let out a gasp from his sister. The jaws of his father tightened. Charlie proceeded. One can find a lady. The threads are being pulled by her. Nobody can harm her. She has ties. When I threatened to speak out, she made sure no one would believe me. The woman from the deserted building was immediately understood by the family. However, the film was cut short. Charlie said softly, "She's not at the top," as he leaned forward. Someone else is her boss. The guy is known as the donor. He is the one to blame if anything bad occurs to me. Mom, his mother yelled. His sibling hid her expression. As if struck in the chest, his father became visibly shaken. Charlie left the listener with the most eerie line ever. Do not allow them to change the ending of my narrative. Plus, you shouldn't put your faith in anyone who jumps to their defense. The film ceased playing. All was quiet in the room. After nearly 1 whole minute, nobody budged. As soon as they believed the expose was finished, something occurred that validated all of Charlie's fears. My laptop has a bug. The display flickered. The screen blinked with lines of code. Afterwards, a notice showed up. It has been noted that tracking has been initiated on this device. The laptop was shut by his father. He heard his sister's cries. It was discovered that they had unlocked the flash drive by someone. It had been communicated. Someone was on their way. The family stood motionless, their ears perked up at the sound of the home as if someone were about to step inside. What do we do? His sister murmured to their father. The entrance to the house was his father's focus. After that, there are the windows that are blind. Up next, the laptop. The laptop that was now carrying potentially harmful information. Run, he murmured. Just then, they heard a vehicle outside. No idling either, doing poorly, coming to a halt. Lights from the headlights pierced the blinds. As each member of the family realized the reality, they locked eyes. The whole time. Charlie had known. The narrative was left unresolved. Even when he left, the threat remained. Assuming you are currently present, in the event that you survived the black SUV, the enigmatic lady with the coded communications, the video's flash drive, after Charlie's last recording session, the red circled names of the restricted documents, the shadow network, the sponsor, the tracking alerts, attempted breach, etc., plus the vehicle arriving in the driveway of the ancestral house. So you know something that the majority of viewers don't. This is only the beginning. No traces of Charlie could be found. He cautioned others. He was unafraid of dying. Fearing being alone, he drew near. He never once told his loved ones to be careful. He pleaded with them to keep the truth hidden. You may see for yourself why this is so. Thus, the true inquiry today is, describe what you see as taking place here. In your opinion, the lady, the one who had stopped him at the deserted building, was the one Charlie drew near. Your guess as to whether she was working for the donor or with him is welcome. Are you of the belief that the SUV was involved in cleaning or surveillance? In your opinion, did Charlie reveal something more than just politics? Something on a global scale? Who do you suppose he intended to keep the flash drive for, his family or the whole public? Tell me if you think someone is viewing everything on the system, whether the laptop is being traced. Think the automobile outside the home belongs to the same persons Charlie was fleeing from? And now for the ultimate question. To what do you attribute the benefactor's possible cover-up? Put your theories on ice, a complete crazy guess. Observed every hint. Names that you think are related all have connections. Make this space for comments into an inquiry board in its entirety, as it's becoming more difficult for anybody to conceal this story as the conversation continues. Give this video a thumbs up right this second. Get all the alerts by subscribing. Make sure everyone sees this episode because Charlie's family will be safer if this is brought to light more. Predators benefit from quiet. Being the center of attention destroys them. And believe me, it is not finished yet. We still have the flash drive in Charlie's family. They still haven't opened some of the files. Some names remain unsaid. What they don't know